Welcome to Living Life in the End for the Successful and Fulfilled Woman. I am your host, Dr. Stephanie D. Barnes, the liberated lawyer. I help women to get everything they desire in life by equipping them with powerful strategies to achieve the fulfillment they desire and deserve. Who said you can't have it all? Clearly, they did not know about living life in the end. When women make powerful decisions and create great strategies, they can have everything they desire in life. Girlfriend, forget about choosing between being successful or fulfilled. You can be successful and fulfilled. It's time for you to get everything you desire and deserve. It's time for you to live your life on purpose. It's time for you to live a life that is fulfilled, meaningful, and full of joy. It's time for you to walk boldly in the power of your decisions. If you are going to be in this world, you need to be fulfilled in this life. Life is too long to be unfulfilled. Join me for another episode of Living Life in the End, where you learn how to live fulfilled, fit, and free. Welcome to Designing a Life on Purpose series. You often hear me say at the end of each musing that fulfillment doesn't happen simply because we desire it. It happens when we decide to go get it. Well, this series is going to walk us through the 11 petals of the Successful and Fulfilled Woman framework so that we are equipped to design the life we desire and deserve. Being successful and fulfilled comes about from building a life that is on 3 foundational pillars: being fulfilled, being fit, and being free. And within each of those pillars are petals that enable us to blossom and bloom into the life we desire and deserve. So as we design a life that actually works for us, we can become empowered as we open up each petal that give rise to being successful and fulfilled. Within the fulfillment foundation are the petals: family, friends, love, and purpose. The fit petals are fitness, focus, and faith. And free petals are finances, frolic, fashion, and freedom. So in this series, we're going to walk through each of these petals, and I'll share a little bit of how I have used these in my own life and invite you to use the power of these petals for yourself. Hey, it's time. It's time for Musing from the Mind of Dr. SDB, where I share provocative thoughts to help you live your life in the end. Girl, I've got something on my mind. Let me say this up front. Fashion is not frivolous. It's not vanity, and it's definitely not extra. Fashion is language, and whether you mean to or not, you're speaking every time you get dressed. Welcome back to the place where we don't shrink, we express. Today we're still in the free pillar, and we're talking about a petal that many women downplay, dismiss, or feel guilty about: fashion. But I'm not talking about trends, definitely not talking about labels, but self-expression without apology. So many women minimize fashion. Somewhere along the way, many of us learned this lie. If you care about how you look, you must not be serious. We have been fooled by the notion that beauty and brains don't coexist. This is especially true for women who are educated, accomplished, responsible, and in leadership. We're taught to neutralize ourselves to not be taken seriously. Don't dress too bright. Opt for muted colors. Don't let those curves show. You need to embrace smaller silhouettes that don't emphasize your femininity. Don't be so present. Fade to the background. And I'm here to tell you that message is outdated and inaccurate. A recent example of how women, Black women in particular, are denigrated for having the audacity to show up fully in fashion in spaces where less is considered acceptable is Naomi Osaka. Naomi Osaka is a great tennis player and has committed to using the tennis court as a space to express her incredible sense of fashion. And when she showed up for the Australian Open in this magnificent, stunning, fabulous jellyfish outfit, she was told that she was tasteless and should opt for something that is more acceptable. That was a beautiful expression. And quite honestly, she said it was reminiscent of a jellyfish. But honestly, you know what it reminded me of? The scene of Wade from the water from Alvin Ailey's Revelation. As I saw her strutting with magnificence and even the imagery of that fabric flowing behind her, I could not help but be transported to Alvin Ailey's Revelations. Time and time again, when we show up in all our magnificence, we are told we're being too much. And what is deemed fashion-forward expression for others is considered tasteless for us. I got another F word for those people who try to put us in a corner and relegate us to being invisible and in the background. Because fashion is not a declaration. Because fashion is not a decoration. It's a declaration. It is a declaration that tells the world how you see yourself, what you expect, and what you will and will not tolerate. Fashion is an expression of how we see ourselves. It is also a boundary. It says, I'm allowed to take up space. I do not need permission to be seen. I can be intelligent and stylish. I can show up like a jellyfish and still be elegant and powerful. This is about living life in the and visibly. Now, let me be honest. My sense of style has evolved over the years. I have always had an affinity for fashion. And in fact, when I was, I'm going to say 8, 9, 10 years old, I desired to be a fashion designer. I don't know why, but I was going to change my name to Penelope Poncello and design clothes. And I used to draw all of these outfits and cut the little dolls out and create these wonderful designer portfolios. I was also going to have a lavender convertible Jaguar too. So anyway, I no longer want to change my name to Penelope Poncello. I still like convertibles. I have a black convertible now. Maybe one day I will get that lavender Jaguar convertible. That's still not out the picture. But anyway, lest I digress. But I always had this great fashion style, and it was influenced, I'm sure, by my granny. She used to buy me some fabulous clothes. It was also influenced by my mom, who used to sew me the most beautiful little dresses. But it was mostly influenced by my great-grandma Lucille, Era Lucille. My great-grandma was a seamstress, and she used to make her own suits, like the suit dress. And she would be magnificent with her hats that were coordinated to her suits and coordinated to her shoes and her handbags. My grandma Lucille didn't have a lot of money. My great-grandparents were sharecroppers. My granddad, B, I never knew him. He died before I was born, was a preacher and farmer. And I don't really know what my great-grandma did, to be honest, but I just knew she wasn't rich. But she knew how to sew. And she would create the most magnificent dresses. And I would love seeing her when we would go to church with her. She was a, what do you call it, heroine of Jericho. I remember distinctly going to this program and seeing my grandma Lucille, my great-grandma Lucille, and all her finery. She just always was majestic. Grandma didn't just walk. She sauntered. She had this bad walk. I mean, it was a strut. And I got my love of fashion from her. And like I say, my granny used to buy me I always had great clothes. We were never rich, but I had some bad outfits. My granny worked at Sears and Roebuck's, and I had Sears and Roebuck's finest. But I was always cute. You look back at my pictures, I was always stylish. Always stylish. But anyway, lest I digress. During high school, junior high and high school, when I began to, make fashion decisions for myself, I always pushed the envelope. In middle school, I was all about like not matching. So I'd wear different earrings in my ear. I only had 2 holes in my ear at that time. The single hole. I now have like multiple piercings in my ears, but I could only wear 2 earrings. And so I remember I'd buy like all these wild earrings. I remember my favorite thing, I had this earring. One was a zipper and the other was like a hoop. And I'd wear the zipper in one earring in one ear and the hoop in another. And I would mismatch my shoes. So like if I had two pair of the same sandals, I'd mix match the color. So I'd wear the red one on one foot and the blue one on the other. That was kind of my thing, was mix match. And then when I got to high school, I discovered fashion outside of what people in my community, Greenville, wore. A lot of the girls from Greenville, we wore clothes from McRae's. That was the big department store. And, that was, where all the stylish clothes were. And there were some other boutiques. But I spent the summers with my Aunt Demetria. And I would go to Parisians, and Parisians had different things than what was in my McRae's in Greenville. And I remember, I think this was the summer, maybe it was either between 8th grade and 9th grade or between 9th grade and 10th grade. But I bought this fabulous outfit, or my aunt. She bought me an outfit before I left. And she bought this fabulous outfit. It was like this hot pink paisley shirt. And the pants were plaid. And so I experimented. They were meant to go together. And I experimented with mixing patterns. And I remember I was so proud of this Parisien's outfit because nobody in my school was going to have it. And I wore it to school. And I remember I got ridiculed for it. And they made fun of me because my patterns didn't match. Well, poo-poo on them that they didn't have the fashion sense to know that you could mix patterns. But that was the beginning of me starting to shrink in my fashion to meet the expectations of others, because I was often ridiculed for my fashions. And at the time, I didn't have the confidence or really the knowledge to know that I didn't have to be like everybody else. And the fact that they didn't appreciate it should not have influenced my decision to wear what was an expression of me, because I was different. And so then I entered the season of dressing as expected. I went to Harvard Law School, which was a conservative environment. And the summer before I went to law school, I was in an SEO program, Sponsors for Educational Opportunity, where they placed seniors that had recently graduated from high school or recently graduated college students who were going either into law school or investment banking. They would place us in these New York law firms, Wall Street law firms, as they were called, or Wall Street banking firms, for summer internships. And we were told wear gray, black, or navy. And so, I had my family to invest in gray, black, and navy suits. And I remember one day I got a little risky. And I wore this leopard dress underneath my black jacket. I just couldn't hold it in any longer. And I'd be dang if that was the day that the partners took me out to lunch. And I remember they kind of looked at me a little funny, like, what the hell she got on? Now, mind you, a leopard dress was like a fish out of water at a conservative Wall Street law firm the summer of 1994. Nobody else was wearing leopard print but me. I felt a little kind of bad about it, but I think after that I may have gone back to dressing in the gray and the navy and the black. And so then I adopted this Brooks Brother feel. That was when I discovered Brooks Brother, because that's where a lot of the lawyers in those Wall Street law firms shop. So then I was like, well, in order for me to be accepted and to be acceptable, I need to shop at Brooks Brothers. So like for the first part of my career, I adhered to this conservative style. Because when I started practicing law, women still could not wear pants to work every day. It was looked down upon. You absolutely could not wear pants to court. This was like 1997, y'all. This wasn't even the 80s or the 70s. This was 1997. And women could not wear pants to court at all. And we were admonished for wearing pants to work, to the law firm. So I worked at Fulbright and Jaworski, prestigious Houston law firm. And I remember, like, I had been there maybe a month, but on a Friday, I wore this red pantsuit. I still remember that red pantsuit. It was otherwise conservative, but it was red and it was a pantsuit. And you would have thought that I had come to work in my drawers. You would have thought that I had come to work looking like I was going to the strip club. I got pulled into a senior associate's office. We don't wear pants. and we don't wear red. And I'm like, girl, it's a Friday, first of all, and all my stuff is covered up. It wasn't like it was a short suit. It wasn't like, my boobs were hanging out or anything. It was smartly tailored. It just happened to be red and it happened to be pants. And so I allowed myself to be beat back into this box of wearing gray, navy, and black. And so I was in the season of dressing for safety, dressing for camouflage, and dressing for approval. And there were seasons when my body changed, my life changed, my confidence shifted, and my clothes just didn't catch up. Because the clothes that I wore were not an expression of who I was. There was dissonance. And it may seem like that's trivial, but that's material dissonance because who I was and what I looked like didn't match. Because when your outer expression lags behind your inner evaluation, you feel it. You don't feel as confident. You feel like a fish out of water because you're not in what makes you feel comfortable. Because style isn't about impressing others at all. A lot of times that's what we think style is, and that's the function that we assign to style. We dress to impress. But really, our style is about alignment. And we fall victim to the myth of earned beauty. We feel like we must earn our beauty. We got to be a certain size. So we strive for weight loss and fitting the ideal and weighing a certain amount and wearing a certain size. We have to earn beauty after a promotion. Oh, now that I'm promoted, I can express myself. And in fact, that's what I did. When I became Chief Compliance Officer for the health system, this was my first C-suite position. I wasn't in a traditional stuffy law firm anymore. And so I started expressing myself. I was like, who gonna check me, boo? And since I was in an environment where I did have a little bit more freedom, I wasn't doing anything outlandish, but I colored my hair. That was the first time I went blonde. It was actually more of an auburn reddish color. But I dyed my hair. I expressed myself through different hairstyles. It was still, quote, professional. It was still straight hair. But I changed up the color. I gave myself permission, or I asked. Well, I didn't really ask permission. I gave myself permission to be fashion forward because I was in an environment where I did have some authority, I did have some power, and I was in a position of influence. And so I gave myself permission to dress in the fashion that made me feel good. And as I shared in the previous episode, I did get lost in the sauce a little bit and, was buying some stuff I ain't had no business buying. And I was also foraying into this fashion that really was not aligned with my true style. But I allowed myself to express who I was through my fashion. And the truth is, I didn't have to do that. Because we should not feel that we can dress well because we have arrived. We dress well as part of our arriving. Because style is not a reward, it's a tool. And for far too often, style has been used to restrict women. We literally were restricted by the clothes we wore. Just think about the long dresses, the corsets, the 50 million layers. In some cultures, women bound their feet and they literally could not walk on their own. I remember the scene from Charlotte, the Bridgerton series, where Charlotte is in the carriage where she's coming from Austria or wherever she lived to England, and she's complaining about the whale boning in her corset that literally has her immobile out of fear that if something happens, she might be stabbed by her own clothing. But literally, women have been restricted by our fashion. We are shamed for showing our bodies. And I don't mean being naked or being provocative or being indecent. I mean for just having a body and wearing clothes that accentuate our curves. It's like we're expected to wear pup tints. And if we wear clothes that fit the body that we have, oh, that's too much. You're being sensuous. You're drawing attention to yourself. Well, God damn it, that's the point. Our point is to be seen and to show up in the spaces where we are. We don't have to sit on the back row at the back of the bus, in the back of the room, in the background. Fashion is a way that we can show up in the spaces we desire and express who we are. And certainly there are risks. And certainly there are points where there are some things that are inappropriate. We have to be sensible about how we use this power and how we express ourselves. So I'm not saying that you're free to wear whatever you want or whatever you don't want to wear and show up naked. Lady Godiva went supposedly paraded through the village naked on her horse as a way of expressing herself and reclaiming authority. We don't have to show up naked. But what I'm saying is we should have freedom in deciding what fashion means for us. And we don't have to wear what everybody else is wearing if that doesn't make us feel comfortable. So if everybody is wearing bodycon and we feel more comfortable in loose-fitting clothes, girl, wear them loose-fitting clothes. If you don't like wearing heels, wear your flats. There is no rule that says in order to be fashionable, you've got to wear stilettos. If stilettos hurt your feet, first of all, they may be the wrong size. Because a lot of times we wear the size we always been wearing instead of wearing the size that's actually the size of our foot. They may be too high. I love high heels, but I don't wear heels that are higher than 4 inches. 5-inch heels restrict my movement. And even though I have strong quads, you have to have strong quads to wear high heels. But 5 and 6-inch heels, 5-inch heels without platforms restrict my movement. And I need to be able to run if I want to. I can run in 4-inch heels. But anyway, lest I digress. But if you don't like heels, don't feel like you have to wear heels in order to be feminine. You can wear flats. Now, I ain't going to wear no kitten heels. I don't like kitten heels. That's just my personal thing. Now, if you like kitten heels, don't take this personal. I just don't like kitten heels. I think they are an abomination. Because what is that? But anyway, I love flats. I don't wear flats that often because actually, this is weird. Flats hurt my feet. Y'all, I bought some neutralizers. A brand that, is supposed to be comfortable shoes. They're built for comfort. And, that's the purpose. They're supposed to be cushiony, etc., whatever. So I had conferences last year. And I decided that for my conferences where I had to do a lot of walking, I was going to buy some comfortable shoes that were also stylish. Because remember, I'm living life in the and. I ain't going to wear no Clodbusters. I ain't finna wear no buddies. But I picked out some cute naturalizers that were fashionable and supposedly comfortable. Y'all, them shoes hurt my feet so bad. They rubbed the back of my ankle so bad, and they rubbed the side of my foot. I came home from the conference. Actually, I didn't even wear them. I didn't even make it to the conference. I wore them around the house, and at the end of the day, they hurt my feet so bad, I took them and put them in the giveaway box. I'm like, oh, hell no. We're not finna hurt. I don't wear heels that hurt my feet. I'm damn sure not going to wear any comfortable shoes that hurt my feet. So I figured out how I can balance fashion and comfort. I like wedges, and I like high wedges. High heel wedges, for whatever reason, work well on my feet. They don't rub the back of my ankles, and they don't rub the side of my feet. 2-inch wedges, I don't know what it is, but my feet are not made for them. I don't know. And I also have discovered clogs, not clod busters. There's a certain look I like to the clog, but it's a way that I can be cute and I can be comfortable. It's what I call my version of the old lady shoe. So like now, mind you, my old lady shoes is not going to look like kind of most people's vision of an old lady shoes. My old lady shoes are high heel wedges. That's my old lady shoe. Because they're comfortable and they fit my fashion. But anyway, lest I digress. My point is, you get to choose what makes you feel comfortable, and you should be able to dress in a way that makes you feel comfortable without feeling bad because it's different than what everybody else is wearing. So if you prefer comfort and flats and sneakers, dress in flats and sneakers and pants and feel good about it. Strut in your sneakers. Now me, I don't wear sneakers unless I'm running. I refuse, y'all. It's just against my fashion principles to wear sneakers with a ball dress. I'm just not going to do it. Not even if they are blinged out sneakers. That's just, I don't do that. You want to do it, girl, you going to do it. But that's my choice. I have heels that are comfortable. I can dance all night in my heels, because if I can't dance all night in them, I'm not going to wear them. I have heels that are cute, but they are made to walk in, promenade around briefly, sit down most of the night, get back up, walk around a little bit, and then leave and go home. Then I also have heels I can dance all night in. I don't take my shoes off either. I don't dance barefoot. For me, this is how I operate. I wear shoes that are comfortable and that I can wear all night. A lot of times, again, our shoes are uncomfortable because we've outgrown them. And we think, well, this is the size I've always worn. And we're buying shoes that are too small for our feet. Or we're buying shoes that weren't made for our feet, like red bottoms. For the most part, I have not found a red bottom that fits my foot comfortably, so I don't wear them. And I kind of got a thing against red bottoms. But anyway, I'm not going to digress. Some designer shoes don't fit your feet well. They're uncomfortable. Well, I'm not going to parade around in a pair of red bottoms that's flopping and flipping off my feet and make my feet hurt just to say I'm wearing red bottoms. I wear shoes. I like Italian shoes, but they're not necessarily a name brand. But most of my shoes are Italian because I like Italian leather and I like Italian style. Anyway, lest I digress. Point being, wear what makes you feel good. If you don't like colors, don't wear colors. If you like wearing all black, you wear all black. I have a philosophical opposition against wearing all black all the time, largely because it's trauma, because I was forced to wear black, gray, and navy. I don't have anything navy in my closet. Nothing. I think, well, I got one navy shirt. Now, I really don't wear it. I need to give it away. I will not wear a navy suit. You will not catch me in a navy suit. I'm really not going to wear gray. I don't have a lot of gray. And if I do wear gray, it's going to be paired with something bright. My suits have color. I love suits. I love blazers. But I don't tell myself in order to be professional, I got to wear black, gray, or navy. So I love color. I love showing up in color. And I don't show up in color for the purpose of being seen. That's just who I am. And if you happen to see me, great. Because I didn't dress for you, no way. I dress for myself. Every morning that I get up, even though I work from home, I get up and put on something that makes me feel good. When I go to an event, I don't really care what everybody else is wearing. I wear how I desire to feel. For everything that I go to, I have a mood. I have There's a theme, and it's personal to me. I share my conference drip a lot. I started sharing it because people started commenting on, oh, I love what you had on. So I've made a big thing of it, and I have a theme, and I share what the theme is. I love it. It is an expression of who I am, and I have not convinced myself that since I'm an attorney, I got to dress in blue, gray, or navy blue, gray, and black. No navy blue in my closet. But anyway, in the free pillar, fashion is about agency, choice, and expression. It's not about consumption. Who cares what the brand is? Because some people, this is going to sound like it's shady, but I'm just making a statement. Some people wear designer everything and still don't look worth nothing. You know, so it doesn't matter. You can look bad in a designer dress, just look awful. I believe that I can wear a simple shift from Walmart and be just as fabulous as any other woman there. Because first of all, I didn't come to compare myself to her. We ain't competing. She ain't in my lane, and I ain't trying to get in hers. Because how you look in an outfit is solely determined by how you carry yourself. And if you carry yourself with confidence and you have it fitted to the body you have and not the body you desire, you will look good regardless of who made it. You can do your homemade stuff. My mother made most of my clothes. And I never made the best dress list, but I was always fashionable in clothes that were couture. And that's what we have to recognize is that homemade is not ugly. It's couture. It is custom to you. Fashion is not about comparison. We shouldn't be dressing to make ourselves feel better because we are better than somebody else, or we're wearing a designer label and they're not. Or we don't need to fall in that fallacy I did and think in order to be as good as, you got to carry a certain designer on your arm. I look just as good in my little Italian leather bags that I have picked up at TJ Maxx as I ever did with my Gucci's. I look good in Gucci too. But Gucci doesn't define me. And I'm not really a handbag person. I don't like purses. So I have decided for myself, it makes absolutely no sense for me to pay $3,000 for a bag I don't even really want to carry. I don't like purses. My purse is, I carry the same purse for every outfit. For some people, purses are an accessory, and there certainly are great purses of all prices or whatever. They can make really great accessories, but purses for me are practical. I love accessorizing through earrings. That's my thing. I'm not even a big shoe person, but it makes no sense for me to spend money on a designer bag because, quote, everybody has it and I don't even really want it. And that's a question we have to ask about. So do I even really want this? Do I even like this design, or am I wearing it because everybody else wearing it? So here's some questions to ask yourself. Does my wardrobe reflect who I am now? Or does my wardrobe reflect who I'm trying to be just to survive? Because there's power in being seen on purpose. Because here's the quiet truth about deciding on fashion for yourself. What makes you feel good, what works for the body you have. And quite honestly, let me just say this. I keep saying wear it for the body you have. Look, if you want to wear a tight dress and you don't have a flat stomach and you got some roll, wear it and feel good. You don't have to think that I can't wear this dress because I got a little fupa. Dress your fupa up and gone. My point is, wear what makes you feel good. Nobody else has to like it. Nobody else has to like it or think you should be in it. Wear what makes you feel good. Because when you dress intentionally, and intentionally means you've chosen a style that works for you, you walk differently. I walk confidently into any space that I'm in because I'm wearing something that expresses who I am. You speak differently because you give yourself permission to take up space. You expect differently because you're expecting to live life on your own terms and not based on what somebody else says you should be doing, should be wearing, and how you should be looking. Because confidence isn't just internal, it's reinforced externally. And your clothes are not the source of your power, but they can amplify your power. My point is just be intentional. And whatever it is that you're putting on your body, ensure that it is something that you chose and not something that was chosen for you. So take a breath and ask yourself, what parts of myself have I muted through my clothing? Where do I play it safe when I want to be bold? What would it look like if I dressed as my future self now? Fashion is not separate from finances or fulfillment. It intersects. And as I shared in the previous episode, you do have to be responsible with your fashion. There's a consequence to expressing yourself through fashion without discipline, without a budget, and without intention. But true freedom means that you're choosing fashion for yourself and not because of the trends. You're expressing who you are, not hiding who you are. You're investing and making wise financial choices and not buying impulsively or recklessly. Because intentional style saves money, it saves time, and it saves energy. Fashion is a self-expression that allows us to show up and take space, that allows us to show up and take up space with color, that allows us to show up and take up space. We were not meant to be in the background. We were not meant to be muted. We were meant to be at the forefront of our lives with intention. If you want to see how fashion shows up in your overall life design and where it's supporting or suppressing you, take the Fulfill, Fit, and Free profile. Visit livelifeintheand.com. Don't worry, I have the link for you in the show notes. And if you're ready to translate your expression into confidence, clarity, and strategy, book a complimentary revelation conversation at everythingideserve.com. Remember, we don't dress for permission. We dress for alignment. Your style does not expire at any given age. In your 50s, you can wear what makes you happy. There is no such thing as there is no such thing as fashion that is appropriate for the mature woman. You can wear what makes you feel good at any age. Style is not about being noticed. It is about being known. You are allowed to be brilliant and beautiful at any age. You are allowed to be structured and expressive. You are allowed to be grounded and glamorous. We're living life in the and. We can wear clothes in the and too. Next up, we will embrace frolic. Joy is not a luxury because freedom without joy is just another job. Until then, live life in the and. Seen, styled, expressed. Well, that's all I have to say about that. Thank you for joining me for another Musing from the Mind of Dr. SDB, where I share provocative thoughts that help you live your life in the and. I hope you learned something. I hope you felt something. But girl, most of all, I hope you do something. Fulfillment won't happen because you desire it. Fulfillment will happen because you decide to go get it. Let's get it. This episode was brought to you by the Successful and Fulfilled Woman, New You Transformation, a VIP day for the high-achieving woman who is ready to be successful and fulfilled. If you are a woman who feels burned out and uninspired, or you are a woman ready to start over after a divorce, death, or other disruption, or you are a mother whose children are ready to leave the nest or are already gone, and you are now ready to create a meaningful life for yourself, or you are a woman who's approaching your golden years and you want the next half to be the best half, or you are a woman who's ready to get more out of life and ready to stop marking time and start living life, then we need to have a revelation conversation. Go to www.everythingideserve.com to schedule your complimentary revelation conversation, where together we will talk about where you are now and where you want to be, and begin to develop a plan to get you where you desire to be. You will leave your revelation conversation understanding the first thing that you can start doing today to begin living a successful and fulfilled life. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Living Life in the And for the Successful and Fulfilled Woman. Please be sure to let me know what made you feel something, what you learned, and what moved you to action. Please subscribe so you don't miss out on a great conversation. And don't forget to rate and review the podcast and let me know how you are living life in the and. Life is too long to be unfulfilled. Don't keep all this goodness to yourself. Tell someone else to listen for themselves. We should all be fulfilled. Remember, your life is the product of your choices. Choose to commit to bringing the desires of your heart to completion. You don't get what you deserve until you get what you decide. Life is too long to be unfulfilled.